What's the best system to use for portable operation? Well, I've operated over many years operating portable, and I've chosen all sorts of different systems, but the key actually is the system you're using. There's not one antenna that's best. There's not one transceiver that's best. But very often there's the best combination. It's the combination which is the key to successful portable operation. So I'm going to tell you what I have been using in 2024, which for me is the best portable operation system. It may not be your choice, but it's my choice, and I'll explain why I've chosen the bits and pieces and how it works as a system. My portable operation is based at the old Leiston airfield. It now reverts back to mainly farmland, and this entrance here, where you can see one of the old buildings, is now known as Harrow Farm. There's not too many telltale signs of the old airfield. Here's a piece of the perimeter track. There's only one significant part of the runway left, and this stretches out towards the south. In the opposite direction, where it would have normally run, is now just farmers' fields. Further south is the original Leiston Railway, or the railway that's extended from Saxmundham down to Leiston Station. The railway line is still occasionally used for goods traffic down to Sizewell, and here you see what I think must have been the original gatekeeper's house. Further down the line there's a footpath crossing it, and there's a warning to beware of trains. I think you'd have to wait an awful long time to see a train actually. Let me show the kit of parts that I have chosen this year. This is the Xiegu X6100, which I've covered a number of times in videos. And then we've got a small paddle key here, which is very compact actually. You can just make it even smaller there by sliding the paddles in. We have got a very small paddle key coming, smaller than this, which will be ideal for portable work, and I'll cover that in the video as soon as we get them in stock. They should be in stock in the next couple of weeks. Obviously a microphone if you want to work SSB, and also my Zoom antenna analyzer, which really is quite useful when you're setting up the antenna, particularly for the first time. As well as using the internal battery, I also use one of these Jackery power supplies. The antenna I decided to use was a random length of wire. Well, I say random, it's 41 foot long. That's because that's one of the recommended random wire lengths. And that also suited the operating position and the static van that we've got. And I then needed a 9-to-1 UnUn, and I used a homemade one. I'll show you here. They're quite easy to make. There's plenty of guides on YouTube on how to wind a 9-to-1 UnUn. I used a 240-43 mix ferrite core. I didn't use very thick wire because I was only going to run a maximum of 10 watts. Packed down, the antenna is quite compact, as you can see there. And all that we now need is a length of coax, and I think this length is around about 6 meters long, something like that. You'll notice I've got a ferrite core there. That ferrite core, that point there, is connected to the transceiver. When you're using a random wire antenna, it's absolutely essential that you have a line isolator just before the coax goes into the transceiver. Believe me, it's very important. So why do I like the Xiegu X6100, which I seem to be using more and more now for portable operation? Well, it's not ultra lightweight, it's quite chunky actually, and it's proved to be quite tough because I haven't had any problems really. It's been in my pannier bag on my bike, it's been in a bag in the car, it's been out in a bit of rain, although it's not showerproof at all, but it has survived. I do like the screen. The screen is got it's nice and crisp, and it's got a lot of detail on it. It's a colour screen, full colour screen, but it's got a lot of detail on it. And you've got even things like VSWR analyzer or scope. And talking about that VSWR and so forth, the internal antenna tuner of this is really good. It's probably one of the best antenna tuners or antenna matching units around, and it works at all bands from 160 through to 6 meters. And really and truly, I've never really found anything that it won't cope with. It doesn't mean to say that you should disregard VSWR, because you do need to get the VSWR down to a reasonable level, but it's quite happy to cope with almost anything you throw at it. And the antenna which I've been using for this this video, this session, has been an end-fed antenna. And with an end-fed antenna, you're going to get VSWRs typically of 2.5, 3, 4, even up to 5 to 1. But this copes with it incredibly well. It doesn't sort of misfire or anything like that. It just tunes it and it works. And if you're using a fairly shortish length of coax cable, I mean, I'm using a length of around about 7 meters, I think it is. A VSWR 3 or 4 to 1 doesn't really matter, particularly on the lower HF bands on 40 meters and 20 meters and even 15 meters. It doesn't really matter that much. You can get contacts. It's got an internal battery, which is very handy because it's self-contained. And the internal battery, well, that lasts me for a reasonable day's use. If I have a session, I suppose, of about 3 or 4 hours where I'm doing a lot of listening and transmitting occasionally, it seems to work okay. The 5 watts level is obviously quite a good level to have for QRP, but I tend to throttle it back to 4 watts, because 4 watts is difference between 4 watts and 5 watts is nothing really. And if you go back to 4 watts, you save a bit of power on the battery. If you use an external battery, then you can squeeze 10 watts out of it quite easily. There is a reservation, I would say, that when you're running it at 10 watts, I certainly wouldn't use it at an FT8 at 10 watts. And I tend to I'd set the power to about 8 watts with an external battery, an external 12-volt battery. 8 watts. It still gets quite warm, but it seems to soldier on. There is an internal speaker there. It's quite a small speaker. It works fine. I tend to use headphones when I'm operating. If you've got an external speaker, you can plug an external speaker, a larger speaker, plug an external speaker in, and it works extremely well because there's around about half a watt of audio, a bit less than that, perhaps 0.3 or 0.4 of a watt of audio coming out. But that will drive an external speaker very well indeed, and you'd be amazed at the quality of the recovered audio. I do use it predominantly on CW because that's my mode that I like to use, particularly low power, but I have some SSB QSOs on it, no problem at all. And it's altogether a very nice self-contained transceiver. I like the menu system. I can adjust the menu so that this lower knob here will adjust power in, I think it's 0.1 of a watt steps. Well, by the way, it goes down to 100 milliwatts. So I can set that control to control whatever item I like. I could set that to control the keying speed and so forth, but I tend to use it for the power. And if I tap one of the menu buttons here, I can go into whatever it is I choose. I can go into make these menu buttons suitable for CW operation, or make these buttons suitable for SSB operation. You can adjust the mic gain. On CW, you can obviously control the speed, you can control the side tone and so forth, and all the obvious things that you need, like receiver incremental tuning, is on there. So altogether a nice little rig, and it's got these sort of desk stands there which just poke out, and it gives quite a nice angle on the desk. Yeah, it's a very nice transceiver, and I use it an awful lot. The end-fed antenna system that I chose is basically a sloper. At one end it's about 20 foot high, which is the feed point, and at the other end it's, I don't know, around about 6 or 7 foot above ground. It just goes onto the wooden rail of the decking. And in actual fact, at the feed point, I've dropped the aerial down about 2 or 3 foot because it was just a little bit too long to fit between the mast and the anchor point, so just bent it down slightly, and at that point it connects to the 9-to-1 UnUn. And the mast I've used is a fiberglass mast, telescopic fiberglass mast, which we sell. This one is a heavy duty one. The beauty of these masts are that they are really rugged, and they've got a stop, so that when you're pulling it out, you can't pull it right out. I did have one where you could pull it right out, and that could be a bit of a disaster. So that's my setup, the sloper antenna, and it seems to work extremely well. And of course, we are talking about a portable operation. It's not a fixed station operation, but it works, and I found it works rather well. Now let's take a look at the actual VSWR that I got at the end of the coax before it went into the transceiver. Bear in mind that I did have a line isolator, and that is really very important to get a line isolator. And the first dip we've got is almost on the 40-meter band. And you see we've got a VSWR there of about 3.5 to 1. That is perfectly acceptable, and most antenna matching units will match that without any problem at all. We've got quite a high SWR on 60-meter band, but I don't use that at the moment anyway. On 20 meters, we've got a dip which is around about 2.5 to 1, which is perfectly acceptable. On the 15-meter band, we've got even better, something like about 2.25 or 2.3 to 1. And even on the 17-meter band, we're around about, what, 3 point something, 3.1, 3.2. We then rise quite rapidly, and as you can see, when we get to the 10-meter band, which is the really thick segment on the right-hand side, it's quite high. It's, what is it? Well, it's probably around about 5 or 6 to 1 at best. But then, just beyond that, we've got a dip. And in fact, the minimum VSWR is shown as 2.1 at 31.7 megahertz. That means to say that if I was to actually lengthen the antenna slightly, I would probably get a better VSWR on 10 meters, but the others would shift. And this is the vagaries of the random end-fed antenna. So how did it work? Well, you know, the secret of any station is to get maximum power into the antenna, in this case an end-fed wire. And the way we do that is, first of all, we need to get a fairly low VSWR. And we've achieved that with the 9-to-1 UnUn. We get it around about 3-4 to 1. So we've got a fairly low VSWR. But that's not solving the problem completely, because a solid-state transceiver will not match into that VSWR. Although it's fairly low, it's not low enough. Solid-state transceiver wants to see something below 2 to 1, and that's where the internal matching unit comes in. The internal matching unit of the transceiver will cancel out the reactance that the transceiver sees, and so the transceiver sees a very good match, and it's quite happy to deliver full power. Now, we lose some of that power in the coax because all coax has got a loss. Nothing we can do about that. It's a level playing field. Everybody that's got 7 meters of coax, or whatever length it is going to get the same loss. Now, the VSWR, of course, does introduce a loss, but it's very, very small amount of loss. To 20 meters, it's certainly less than a dB on that sort of 7 meter length of coax. And even when you crawl up to 10 meters, it's probably not much more than a dB. So the loss that we get through VSWR is not nearly as much as perhaps you might have imagined. So we can get quite a lot of power into that antenna, and it just means to say that if we can get full power or maximum power into that antenna, we're going to get pretty good results, whether we're operating portable or fixed station. Now, one can argue, whether a vertical or horizontal antenna is better. In my experience, for portable operation, you tend to get better results from horizontal antennas, simply because you're probably enjoying higher angle radiation than a vertical will give you, and we usually operate portable during the daylight hours, and during the daylight hours very often a horizontal antenna with a higher angle of radiation, both receive and transmit, will give us stronger signals. Now, I operated mainly CW because that's my mode of operation really, but I did do some SSB operation just to demonstrate the results that I got. And I had plenty of contacts. I'll give you a couple of snippets now.
Yeah, okay, Harry. Golf 3 from Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor stroke portable.
Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor portable. I think it was Ipswich. My location is just north of Bridlington. Running a small Bit-X40 kit radio with a 20 watts output. Yeah, good luck, Peter. Anyway, thanks for calling in, and we hope we can work you with on the QRZ. So I got it. G3, read all time of that. T3 or GV, very good.
Yeah, F4WEK from Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor. Okay, Brian. Yeah.
There we go. Just get that drive out the way, Peter. I'm all happy again now. We'll catch you later, mate.
So that's my system choice for 2024. As I explained at the beginning, it's my personal choice. You can make some comments below and let us know what your choices are for portable operation, and in that way others can read your comments. That's the way we work on this channel. So as usual, thank you for your support on this channel, much appreciated. Don't forget to press the subscribe button, and until we meet again, enjoy ham radio. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.